Hey everybody, Jeff Joyner here. And today I'm going to give you some advice. And this is geared for parents of young kids or future parents, people that don't have kids yet, but think they might someday. And you know what? You might agree with this advice. A lot of you probably won't. In fact, maybe even a majority aren't going to agree with this. Some of you might get really mad in my experience, but I'm going to give you that advice anyway. If you do like most of the content on this channel, even if you agree with this, disagree with this one, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell so that you can get future videos that maybe you are going to agree with. But the advice today that I'm going to share is about how I recommend that parents handle mythical characters like Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy. I'm going to tell you my story when I was a kid, what we chose to do as parents, and maybe give you, if nothing else, some food for thought. So I grew up like a lot of kids in America. I grew up in a Christian family. My parents were Christians, which that term means different things to different people. And, in their case, it meant that they had put their faith in God. They believed in God, put their faith in Jesus, went to church. I went to church from the time I was an infant and was raised that way. Went to actually a Christian school from like fourth grade through high school, went to a Christian college. And so that's kind of the background that I'm coming from. The other thing that happened to me when I was young that I think happens to most American children is that my parents played the Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy game with us. When we were little, we were told that Santa Claus was real. And if it is news to you that Santa Claus isn't real, I'm sorry. But they did the whole Santa Claus thing. They took us to meet Santa Claus every year. I got so many pictures of me growing up with Santa. I loved meeting Santa. I loved Santa Claus. I believed. I was a believer. If I was on the Polar Express, I would have heard that little bell ring, and I can assure you. I believed so much in Santa Claus that I got in a fist fight with Billy Thorpe across the street over the existence of Santa Claus. He said Santa Claus didn't exist, that my parents actually are the ones that put those presents out. And I drank the milk and ate the cookies on Christmas Eve. I got very upset. I demanded, you take that back right now. He did not, and so literally came to blows. I fought for the integrity of Santa Claus. And and we did the Easter Bunny too. I distinctly remember I could have swore one Easter Eve that I saw a furry hand closing my bedroom doors after the Easter Bunny left me a basket full of candy. And the Tooth Fairy, now it was a lot less money when I was a kid. We'd put a tooth under our pillow and we get a coin, like a quarter. I've heard kids today get like $20. It's outrageous. But I guess that's inflation. And so we did all that. And then, like every kid, I eventually figured out, when I was 8, 9 years old, that all of it was an elaborate lie. Santa Claus was not real. My parents were the ones wrapping the presents and putting them under the tree. They were the ones drinking the milk and eating the cookies on Christmas Eve. The Easter baskets, the Easter eggs, all of that. And to be honest, I was crushed. I was devastated. But even worse than that, really, here's what I was asked to believe as a young person. I was asked to believe in 4 magical, mythical beings that had to be believed in on faith. You couldn't see them, couldn't talk to them, but they were there, and they're watching, and they're going to bring you gifts if you're good. And those 4 beings that I was taught to believe in on faith were Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and God. So when I was, however old it was, 7, 8, 9 years old, and discovered that it was all a lie, I'll tell you, here's how I thought about it, right? Maybe I'm the weirdo here. I'm fully willing to admit that I'm the cuckoo one here in this story. But here's how I thought about it, right? Hey, if Santa Claus isn't real, if the Easter Bunny isn't real, if the Tooth Fairy isn't real, then God isn't real either. And my parents were like, oh, no. All those other ones were fake. We were playing a game. It's part of the magic, but God's real. And this is how I thought about it. Hey, you know what? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, 3 times, 4 times, shame on me. And so I doubted the existence of God pretty strongly. And in fact, I thought God was part of the same. And my parents would insist, oh, no, God's real. And I'm like, yeah, but we can't see him. God knows when we are sleeping, and he knows when we're awake. He knows when we've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. Wink. And so I went into late elementary school, junior high, and high school not believing in God because of the Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy scam. And you say, well, so what? Well, here's the so what. There are a couple consequences for that in my life. And I can only tell you about my personal experience. Number one is that my trust in my parents went way, way, way down. That they would tell me that they believed in something. I'd be like, mm-hmm. Right? They'd tell me something was true, and I'd be like, right. I just didn't trust them. Not just them, adults in general, right? Because it wasn't just my parents perpetrating the Santa Claus scam. It was all the adults who kind of went along with it. And even when they knew it was a lie, right? And to be perfectly frank, why did they do it? For their own amusement, right? They thought it was amusing. They thought it was cute. So number one, trust in my parents and adults, way, 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 way down. Number two, when I didn't have any belief in God, what else went out the window is any tethering to a sense of right and wrong. That why do the things that you do? Why is something right or wrong? The answer is it's all made up stuff that people made up. And so I kind of made my own moral code, which is, hey, do what you want and do what you can get away with. And the only time I would restrain myself from, doing things that I probably shouldn't be doing was if the chances of getting caught were too high or the punishment was too high. Otherwise, I did all kinds of things, a lot of wrong things by most people's standards. I cheated my way through school. I lied all the time. I stole things. I shoplifted. I vandalized. I mean, to be honest with you, it's a good thing I'm not in jail, some of the stuff that I did. And for me, that was rooted in the fact that when God got thrown out the window, so did the Bible, so did any kind of moral code or compass. It's just for me. And so fast forward, it wasn't until many years later as an adult that I started getting involved with some people who were Christians. And, unlike a lot of the people I was around in high school and church growing up, these people were living it. They believed with all. It wasn't like cafeteria, I believe some of it, but not that. We'll take this, but not that. It wasn't a religious game for these people. It was their life. It was their faith, and they were sacrificing to try to do what was right in the eyes of God. And they loved me, and they served me, and they kind of pulled me into a relationship with God. So as an adult, I put my faith and trust in God and in his son, Jesus, and have been trying to follow the teachings of Jesus as best that I can, ever since then. And so, that's kind of, the story of my faith. But then we became parents, and we had a choice to make. And, I love my parents. I respect my parents. I just made a video recently about how amazing my parents are and all their wisdom. But you know what? A lot of the things my parents did and my wife's parents did, we're doing those same things, right? We're passing on a lot of traditions, a lot of really good things that my parents did to make us feel loved, to make us feel special. But there's some things my grandparents did that my parents probably changed. There's some things my parents did that we changed. I hope there's some things that we did that our kids changed. That's how it's supposed to work, is that it's getting better and better and improving. But one of the things we decided to change is to not lie to our kids about Santa Claus and his gang. And so from the time our kids were very little, when they were little, early and often, we let them know that Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, they're not real. They're characters. They're like SpongeBob or Spider-Man or Captain America, right? Like Mickey Mouse. These are fictional characters that add to a lot of fun to celebrating the holidays, but they're not real. And boy, oh boy, did we hit some headwinds of some people telling us that we were evil. We told our kids, hey, some families kind of trick the kids and pretend it's real. And well, why would they lie to their kids? Well, honestly, because the parents think it's funny. The parents think it's cute. Oh, so we try to encourage our kids, don't be the spoiler in school, kind of go along with it. We did have one incident where our daughter Amanda in kindergarten was telling the kids, there's no Santa Claus, you chumps. what you guys are idiots. And one of the neighbors actually called very angry and was yelling at my wife, your daughter ruined Christmas. And I was very upset, like cussing her out, like you're a bad parent. And it took all of my wife's self-control to not say, so what you're really upset about is I've exposed you as a liar to your children. You're acting like you have the moral high ground here where you clearly don't. And so we kind of had some ups and downs in that regard. But you know what? I don't regret, not playing the game. We didn't do the tooth fairy at all. Easter, we still hid Easter eggs and we still, I don't think Christmas was any less magical for our kids. In fact, here's what we told them. You know what? Those presents under the tree, they didn't come from some dude in the North Pole who gives presents to every child. No, that's not how this works. Those presents came from me and your mom. And we worked hard for the money that we used to buy those presents. A lot of them we made ourselves. And you know why? We're giving you those not because you've been good, right? Here's how Santa Claus works. If you're good, you get a present. If you're bad, you get a lump of coal. No. We give you presents as an expression of our unconditional love. We love you no matter what. And honestly, I think that more closely matches the relationship I have with my Heavenly Father, who wants me to be happy, who wants me to prosper and be in health, who wants a closer relationship with me, even when I've been bad, especially when I've been bad, right? And so that's how we've chosen to handle it. I think it's a much better way to go about it. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect parent. My kids may or may not even believe the same things that I believe, but they know that if I say something is true, I believe that it's true. I'm not scamming them. I'm not lying to them. That relationship is built in trust and honesty. And no matter how much you love Santa Claus and no matter how much this message is like fingernails on a chalkboard to you, most people are mature enough to admit that good relationships are built on a foundation of honesty and trust. And that's what I encourage you do with your kids. Honesty and trust. And I don't think it takes away from the magic of Christmas. I think it adds to the magic of Christmas. Because what better way to celebrate the holiest of holidays, right? Which is number one, Easter, I think, and number two, Christmas. But what better way to celebrate those than with love and giving and kindness and honesty and trust, right? And throw out the lies, right? Because the lies, here's what I really think, that if you lie to your kids about Santa Claus for years and years and years, and then you pull that rug out from under them, what you're really teaching them is, hey, your mom and dad can't really be trusted, which is, I think, going to make your job as a parent harder, not easier. And I think the long-term consequences might not be great. Boy, do I get some hate when I talk about this, right? And you know who especially gives me hate? My Christian friends who say, well, we did Santa Claus when I was growing up and I turned out fine. I'm like, okay, well, if that's the goal, turning out fine, I have higher aspirations for my kids than for them to turn out fine. But I'll ask them, I'm like, hey, do you ever have trouble trusting people? And they're like, well, yeah. Do you ever doubt your beliefs? The things that you believe to be true, do you ever have moments where you just doubt? I wonder why. Do you get really upset when someone you trusted turns out that they were lying to you? Do you get disproportionately upset and pissed off because someone lied to you? And it's because when you were a kid, the people you trusted most did lie to you, often and for a long period of time. And so that's just my opinion on it. People also tell me, say, well, it's just fun, and I'm not going to stop because it's fun for the kids, which kind of funny that, is that really your moral standard for your families? If it's fun, we're going to do it. And so I know if you're already deeply entrenched on the Santa Claus scheme with your kids, you're probably not going to change anything just because of what I said. But I am hoping that maybe some future parents go, Never really thought about that, right? And just because everyone is doing it doesn't mean that you have to do it. Why not take a stand for truth and honesty? And I think it's one of the most loving things you can do. Hey, it's a little bit before Christmas right now. This video is coming out. If you watch this before Christmas 2022, hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. And hope you have a wonderful holiday season with your family, whether Santa Claus is a deep part of your celebration or not. God bless.